And welcome back to the Heelcast. I'm TNA Dude. As always, I am joined by my brother-at-arms, Mr. Raven Effect.
How's it going, everyone? Sorry about the late scratch for Labor Day weekend Heelcast. Myself, Numero, and some other guy won't get mentioned a little later. We went down to the wire trying to do it for everyone, but schedules didn't work out. I apologize. There was no Heelcast. Don't blame brother underscore.
So what are we supposed to blame Hurls? What's up, Hurls?
What is up, Heelcast Nation? How you guys doing? I'm back. I'm on the attack, and I'm ready to talk some TNA.
Loving it, loving it, loving it. And speaking of talking TNA, everybody don't forget to visit tnasylum.net for the latest news, as well as checking out FK9's podcast, one of the most entertaining podcasts you will find anywhere, as well as our brothers in arms, the KOTM folks over there at King of the Mountain. Those guys put on a fantastic show. They're out there working. They're on Twitter every single day, so check those guys out as well.
Guys, it'll be at Bound for Glory, too. What's up, BQ?
That's right. So, Raven Effect, I understand that there's been some news the last couple of weeks. What you got for me?
There is. First, I actually forgot this, but anyone that watches the show Inside the NFL ripped off the Heelcast return music on our return show, just an FYI. So thanks Inside the NFL for checking us out. But yeah, we got some TNA news, first time in a while. We got the delivery of Brooke Adams' first child, and Shop TNA's released 3 one-night-only DVDs from 2015, Rivals, Extravaganza, Hardcore Justice. No lie, all 3 of those just came in my mailbox yesterday, although they shouldn't have. The good news here, guys, according to Dave Meltzer, Cody Rhodes, y'all, looking to be signing with Impact Wrestling very soon. Rhodes wants to work with Mike Bennett, who wouldn't want to while he's in TNA. The big news here, which I think is crazy in this day and age, is that the deal would not be exclusive, and Rhodes would also be able to work for Ring of Honor as well. Hurls, I'm going to throw this over to you real fast. I know you kind of watch WWE more than any of us. What do you think about Cody Rhodes coming into TNA and possibly ROH too?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a solid signing. He can talk on the mic. He's a good worker. I think he can mesh well with either heavyweight or X Division. Obviously, he can do tag team. He was tag team partners with his brother. He was actually a tag team with Aaron Rex over in WWE for a little bit. So I don't know if they're going to rekindle that tag team. But I love the signing. I can't wait to see how they use him. And I think it's going to be a big benefit for TNA. I think he'll be able to attract some viewers. And depending on where they go with his feud with Mike Bennett, I think that could be gold.
So let me ask you a question, Hurls, because I obviously know very little about, Mr. Rhodes. If his last name were not Runnels, okay, if he was not a Rhodes, what would his value be?
I think most people could still figure out the 2 + 2 = 4 there. I think.
No, I mean, if he didn't have the lineage, if he were to stand on his own, would he be the same Impact signing? Pardon the pun, or would he be a lesser signing because his father and his grandfather and his brothers and the whole family wasn't in wrestling?
Right. I get what you're saying there. I think he does now in 2016. Had this been 2010, 2011, probably not. But I also agree with you that some of his appeal is because he is a Rhodes. However, he doesn't look like Dustin. He doesn't look like Dusty at all.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I would say so. He's pretty in shape compared to the. I'm not saying Dustin's not in shape, because he is, but he just doesn't have the same look like they kind of do. So, no, I think that his signing is going to bring in some viewers, and I think it's going to be a positive for Impact. And we're really going to see what he's going to be able to do without the WWE machine behind him. And I think that's going to be a good thing, because I think he hit the glass ceiling in WWE. And when, he thinks, and I think he's worth main event material. And in WWE, he wasn't going to get that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does in TNA. And if this is a long-term thing, I'd love to see him in the heavyweight going for the title.
Hurls, it's funny that you mentioned that because 2010, 2011 was kind of the time that 2011 was the last time I actually watched a WWE product. Cody Rhodes was actually a guy there. He was the Intercontinental Champion. I remember he did the dashing Cody Rhodes gimmick with his mustache and all that, and he had the face protector. It was all right. It worked. He got over. He had a good Intercontinental title match with Rey Mysterio to WrestleMania. I remember, I think 28. But I think the Rhodes last name works for him a lot. Like the guy, you said he's in shape, and I agree, but the guy is scrawny. He doesn't my problem with this guy the whole time, because people talked about him being a main eventer, he doesn't look like he could kick very many people's ass. I wouldn't be afraid of the guy. He's small, he's skinny, he's a good wrestler, he's got charisma and all that. I think he's good in the mid card. I definitely don't want to see someone who could be also working for Ring of Honor, not exclusive, be in the heavyweight title scene. But I think he's definitely going to be an impact that may bring over some viewers. I know he does have a large fan base. I got a friend who just loves the WWE, and he was all about Cody Rhodes. And, I know that him and Aaron Rex are bringing my buddy to actually check out TNA again. So, hopefully it happens to more than just him.
Yeah, I get your point. I know this is going to sound a little weird, but the fact that now he's wrestling with long tights may help. But I honestly don't think it's going to affect him. He was very, very scrawny when he first came into the WWE, but he has bulked up a little bit. And I think he can wrestle either style, which is going to really benefit. I don't know if he'll win the heavyweight title, especially if Lashley's still holding it, but a guy like, Mike Bennett, if he gets the title someday, which I would think he would, I could easily see him beating him.
I'll say this: any feud that Mike Bennett is going to be in, I think is going to be great. I think Mike Bennett is one of the 5 best overall performers in pro wrestling right now. Honest to God truth.
I couldn't agree with you more. I really could. Mike Bennett's on fire.
When he talks, you listen, and that's a wrestler that's doing his job. And I agree with you too, big time.
I want to say something real fast because it's a shame we didn't get to talk about this last week. But when Mike Bennett talks, you listen. When his wife talks, you listen. This girl was like nothing in WWE, didn't get to talk in ROH. Maria Kanellis last week when she won that Knockouts title and she berated Allie down, that, in my opinion, was the best promo I've heard in wrestling in forever. Like, maybe ever. That was fantastic. I've known since I was a little kid, this stuff is not real. This is not what goes on. I legitimately watched that shit and was like, I fucking feel sorry for Allie. And I think not only did Maria cut the best promo and get over so big as a heel, but I think she legitimately, in that one single promo, she did so damn good at what she did that she created a star in Allie. I think Allie is legitimately going to become the biggest face in TNA in the Knockouts division and going to be a huge star literally because of Maria's mic work. And this was a girl that was like literally shown as having no value in the WWE other than being in Playboy and making out with Snoop Dogg. And then at ROH, she just comes out and looks hot.
And
this girl is amazing.
And you know what? That might not be your best promo this year either. I just want you to keep that in mind. That may not be her best promo.
I know what you're saying. I remember
her promo on Dixie was flipping off the charts. Not that this promo wasn't off the charts too, but the point is when you're looking at promo of the year, when we get to that award, she's going to have 2 nominations, and she may finish 1 too. I just want you to think about that. This could lose to the other one. The other one could lose to this.
I know. Like, oh my God. I'm going to let you do promo of the year. You can do that category because, like, there's her, there's Bennett, there's Rosemary, there's Drake, there's James Storm, there's EC3. Like, that's all you, buddy. Yeah. I'm not going to sort through that goddamn award.
That's gonna be a mess. Yeah. But speaking of a mess, so a former TNA wrestler and former WWE champion, Raven Effect, I understand that he had an MMA match this weekend, and it was kind of a mess.
Yeah, he did. Look, I love CM Punk, and I think a lot of our listeners know I'm a bigger MMA guy than a wrestling guy anymore. I didn't expect CM Punk to win, but just MMA math really never adds up. But this was not a no-brainer. CM Punk has been fighting with one of the most elite camps in all of MMA for 2 years now, training, and you expect the guy to look a lot better than he did. and it was embarrassing for the guy. It really was. When he got taken down, to watch the way he tried to do that defense, it was like, my God, I've never even trained MMA, and I think I know what I'm doing a little more than that. And he tapped just the second that thing was clinched in. I mean, he was beaten, but yeah, I thought it was kind of a dick move to not shake hands at the weigh-ins, but him raising Mickey Gall's hand after that, after raising his arm, like, that was nice to see. Look, CM Punk would kick anyone listening to this show's ass, I'm pretty sure. It takes a lot to go in there. The guy gave it his all. He went out and literally got embarrassed in front of the world. I mean, this was huge. It's all over like ESPN. It's not just, MMA and wrestling people. Like, everyone knows. It made MMA look superior to
well, let me stop you right there, right? You're talking to the guy, right, who called out Lashley. Lashley didn't return my call. If I can call out Bobby Lashley, I can call out CM Punk. I am not afraid of CM Punk. TNA Dude, CM Punk, take it down, brother. Take it down. I do give the guy a lot of respect for trying. I absolutely do. I just kind of feel bad for all the folks that bought the pay-per-view that really didn't get treated to much of a match, and I wish that spot had gone to somebody else. That having been said, you read Twitter and you see what people are saying, and you should really commend the guy for going after it. He didn't have to do this. He's set for life. The guy lives a very frugal lifestyle. Okay, for all the money that he's made, he really doesn't spend much. He, just kind of does his thing. So, definitely lots of props to him for giving it a try. I just wish it would have been on a smaller stage. I just think it's where it needed to be.
I mean, look at what Dave Bautista did, when he went out and just, I mean, that's where CM Punk belonged. It really did. And, I look at the guy kind of as a hero to me in a lot of ways for what he did to another company we're not going to mention that I just feel is kind of, he came out and said the stuff that a lot of people had heard about that needed to be said. And I think that gets overlooked. But, the guy has plenty of balls, and I have all the respect in the world for him. It's a shame that it had to be that embarrassing for him. And apparently, this is like the only UFC pay-per-view I haven't seen all year. Apparently, there's some bizarre shit that happened, but and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, Raven. Watch your tongue when you say he could kick all of our asses. Give me 5 months training. I think I can take CM Punk. Legit.
Everyone wants to whip CM, call out CM Punk.
My money's on Hurls. But I'm still waiting for Lashley to call me back. I think that's a money match. Bobby Lashley versus TNA Dude. I think that's a money.
I think you're right. But going
Somebody
back to
call the champ and tell him.
I agree. Let's get that going. And Raven Effect, you're on Twitter a lot more than I am. Why don't you send CM Punk to this Heelcast right here? See what he says.
All
Can't
right,
hurt.
Absolutely. I think he's going to say, who are these jackasses? But
anyways, yes, it was embarrassing. I saw the fight. It looked like a guy who didn't have 2 years training. It looked like a guy who just woke up and said, hey, I want to be an MMA fighter, and that's the result we got. The only problem I have with this, I mean, I'm glad he's chasing his dreams, but the problem I have was there's a lot of other fighters that would have loved to be in that spot that have been doing it a lot longer than CM Punk, and that opportunity is taken away from them, at least for the time being, because of a guy, just because he made it big in wrestling, doesn't always guarantee he's going to be good in MMA. So I guess that was my biggest problem with that. But other than that, my question is, if CM Punk decides to come back to wrestling someday, and if he's going to do it, he's probably going to have to do it pretty soon. What's his stock going to look like? Because taking a loss like that hurt him quite a bit, especially with all the dirt he released on WWE once he left the company.
Yeah, they do call it creative for a reason. And he's got publicity, and he's the talk of the world. And trust me when I tell you that Vincent Kennedy McMahon could find a way to use him. I also believe that Billy Corgan could find a way to use him as well. So I do think creative could do something with him. It is all about promotional numbers, and he's got that right now. So he's a hot commodity in the wrestling business right now. They can come in, they can do a lot of different things with him. I'm sure that that somebody's been sitting here thinking about it. Okay, if he wins, we're not going to see him again. But if he loses, how would we handle the situation? Now, the Hurls, I understand that wasn't the only pay-per-view this weekend, that you got some news coming out of another pay-per-view?
Yes. WWE had their split brand pay-per-view Backlash, which was a SmackDown exclusive, and probably known as Mr. TNA, or formerly once known as Mr. TNA, AJ Styles. He wrestled Dean Ambrose for the WWE title, and AJ Styles came up victorious, and he is now your new WWE Heavyweight Champion.
Now, can I just stop you for a second and ask a question? And I'm going to show my ignorance of WWE. Everybody knows I don't watch it. I don't follow it at all, and it's just the God's honest truth. They have champions on both sides, right? Because it's a split brand?
Yes, they do.
Is he the real champion, or is he like the pseudo-champion that is like the secondary guy?
Well, the whole point of this second split brand is to try to make both shows equal. That's why SmackDown is now live, so it's a can't-miss show. Whereas in the first split brand, it was Raw was live and SmackDown was taped. And you always knew whoever was champion on Raw was the real champion. Now I think it's a little more blurred. It's hard to tell, but I really do think that they're trying to make SmackDown on par with Raw. Whether they're succeeding or not, that's another story.
But the point is here, and this is why I asked a question, because I don't know the answer, right? And I thank you for the answer. This is a true push for AJ Styles, Mr. TNA. This isn't just, we'll give him the secondary championship. This is, we truly do care about AJ Styles.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a lot of people when he went there, they didn't think he would do well because the prototype WWE wrestler is, 6'5", 270 pounds, 260 pounds, looks like a ton of bricks. But I think WWE's trying to cater towards more of the IWC now with guys like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe they brought over and Finn Balor. And, it kind of started with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. They're giving him a pretty big push, and I feel they are high on him.
See, I guess I kind of looked at it in a different way. As I think people really didn't expect AJ Styles to succeed because there's a stigma that used to go around because anyone that was in TNA that went over to the WWE kind of ended up looking like a joke and wasn't treated very well. And really, I mean, like WCW and ECW too, it was one of the things that just really frustrated me back in the days. And, so there was a big stigma there. There was a big thing like, okay, AJ's going to do this and that, but, he's never going to win, or he's never going to win the belt there. And like, lo and behold, the guy got, from what I understand, 2 victories over John Cena, one of them clean, and AJ won the belt. And look, this, at the start of the year when that stuff broke about AJ and the Bullet Club, kind of shafting TNA, using them for leverage, it bothered me. And there was a couple of comments that AJ made towards TNA after being in the WWE that it bothered me too. And I was kind of bitter towards AJ Styles and, in ways I kind of am still, but, a couple months back, I was watching the AJ Styles collection, the new one that TNA put out. And, it's bittersweet. I love the guy. Like, the guy was great. And I'm happy as hell for him. Like, the mold is broken. The TNA guys can go there and be successful. They still don't get acknowledged, even though they stole from Delete and Decay, but like, it's great that AJ did it, and I'm happy as hell for the guy. I really am. And from what I understand, like, Bobby Roode is going to be huge right now. Bobby Roode is apparently huge, and like, I couldn't be happier because, I mean, Bobby Roode is my guy. So congratulations to AJ Styles. I'm negative on WWE all the time, but I'm not doing it on this show. I'm not going to do it now. Thank you to WWE. I mean, I know, but like, I'm not going to trash that and be like, but yeah. I mean, look, what I want to say is like, they did the right thing, and the bottom line is like, he would never be the name that he was and come over with the star power and be as over as he was in the WWE if it weren't for TNA. And no matter what anyone wants to say, It's not New Japan. It's not ROH. That's Mr. TNA. Everyone knows him as Mr. TNA, and Mr. TNA just won the WWE Championship. So congratulations to AJ Styles and props to the WWE.
So I'm going to echo that. First of all, AJ Styles gave us over 10 years at TNA and wrestled his heart out and did everything that TNA fans asked for. And he had a dream. He wanted to go to WrestleMania, and he wanted to go to WWE, and he wanted to be a WWE World Champion. And it appears, based on what Hurls is saying, that SmackDown, Raw, whatever, blah, 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 he's living that dream. And I think everybody deserves to live their dream. And this is his dream. And I don't know why we should be bitter about it at all. I think that this is a great day in professional wrestling when you can see folks like AJ Styles come in and succeed. When you can see folks like Kevin Steen or whatever he goes by now come in and succeed. And, you know, if Bobby Roode's going to be the next one, then that's wonderful for Bobby Roode as well. They're not being held back. Their talent is being allowed to shine through. And I think part of that's just the fact that, you know, wrestling ratings in general are down, that they're breaking that kind of mold. So, again, I'm with Raven Effect on this one. Hats off to AJ Styles. Congratulations to him. I put very little stock in anything he said negative about, you know, TNA, simply because that's what he's supposed to be doing, and I didn't think that anything was out of the realm of normality.
You know, one thing that I think people need to realize too is, you know, there's basically a couple years ago, the legitimate fact was, like, if you are from an indie promotion, if you sign with TNA, your chances with the WWE to get that big money or whatever, that's over with. You know, TNA was like a place where no one was going to go for a couple of years. Like, that's broken now too. It really is. So it should actually be beneficial for TNA in ways as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of good that actually came of this.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I want to add to this was when AJ Styles was in New Japan, they had an interview saying, wrestling journalists doing the same old, well, you've never wrestled in WWE. Are you going to miss out on that WrestleMania moment? And AJ Styles said he didn't need a WrestleMania moment. He said his WrestleMania moment was wrestling in the Tokyo Dome. And that's the only thing I really have to say. But considering the whole stuff with TNA that happened and WWE offering more money, I'm sure he looks back and probably thinks he made the right decision. And I can't disagree with him.
I think the Bullet Club may not as far as career-wise, but financially they probably did, from what I hear. I hear they're a kind of joke. Karma. Now, we went through the news and all, guys, but we also had a big impact. Unfortunately, these big impacts was the Super Bowl rematch, NFL kickoff weekend. It was Delete Decay with our girl Rosemary and Steve. Unfortunately, there was a scene that Brother Underscore and myself saw a little bit too well, but
I think. But before we jump into the news, I think Hurls had another nugget that we were supposed to get to first. Hurls, you with us, buddy? Did we lose you?
I'm here.
All right, we're rolling live on with this one, buddy. You had one more nugget.
Yes, I just wanted to make mention of Billy Corgan and Dave Lagana were backstage at Evolve 69. It's a big indie promotion that has some ties with WWE, but they're also kind of on their own. We don't really know why they were there. I'm not sure if they were scouting talent or just visiting friends. But Evolve has some really nice wrestlers, and if they could pull some, maybe one or two, because the Impact roster is pretty stacked, that would be nice because they have some really talented wrestlers.
Yeah, it would be, especially when you stop and consider that Triple H has been known to go over there as well. So it's kind of nice to see, you know, TNA kind of in that same arena with them. So that's one of those small things, folks, that could have a great impact later, if for no other reason that they're going to be putting things together and, you know, and maybe establishing some of these relationships that we've seen sort of, you know, die down the road. Now, as Raven Effect did mention, we had a big show. It was all about Delete Or Decay, but, you know, Delete Or Decay, my opinion, didn't quite get enough time, so that means there was plenty of time for other things in Impact. You know, like, for instance, Gail Kim and Jade versus Sienna and Allie. Now, last week, we did have the crowning of a new champion, as Raven Effect mentioned before, and Allie did come off as kind of like that star in the making. So, Hurls, what did you think about this particular tag team match? How did it come off? Did you like the way everybody was booked?
Yes, I did. I thought it was a solid match, but I thought it could have gone a little bit better because
I think we're losing Hurls, so he's having some technical difficulty. Raven, what were your thoughts on that match?
I mean, it was, like Hurls was saying, I don't think it was anything spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, but, I don't expect that every week anymore. My thoughts are exactly what I said earlier. Look, Allie was the big thing in the match. Like, Maria and Sienna shafted her, the crowd's chanting Allie, Allie, Jade and Gail get behind her. This girl is going to be the biggest thing in the Knockouts division. I think what we're going to end up seeing is you're going to see Allie getting trained by Gail and or Jade, and then we're going to see Allie tear it up in the ring, and she'll be the Knockouts champ again at some point. She'll probably at one point prior to that get her revenge on Maria, because obviously Gail's going to get Maria. But I think the best thing to look forward to is Allie's going to be this huge, massive babyface girl that everyone gets behind, and then eventually some demon assassin's going to have to challenge her, and it's going to be friggin' massive.
All right, so it looks like we got Hurls back. Hurls.
Hey, sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. But yes, I agree with Raven. It wasn't a great match, but it furthered the storyline, and the fans are going nuts over Allie, and she's super over in a short amount of time. So I do see somehow Allie costing Maria the title at Bound for Glory and Gail winning, and then probably going to get a match with Maria versus Allie for a couple. Probably getting the match with a feud, probably leading up to that for a couple of months. But yeah, nothing great, but good storytelling though.
This is just storytelling, right? But what they're doing is they're keeping things fresh. They're keeping people going, right? We know that Maria and Gail is happening at Bound for Glory, right? That's a given. We also already know that Gail's going to wind up going over, so you have to have them involved. But they haven't forgotten Sienna, and they're bringing Allie into the mix too. And this is something that we've been screaming for years, right? For TNA to do a better job with. Now all of a sudden they're doing it, and they're doing it so freaking well. So was this match itself, this major win? No, but it's exactly like what Hurls and Raven Effect said. We're seeing storytelling at its finest. We're actually building to something that is engaging the viewer, because viewers aren't going to be engaged in every single match. Now, after this, we had Billy Corgan's debut of the TNA Grand Championship. Guys, I have some really strong opinions about this, so I want to send it to you guys first, okay? Hurls, the TNA Grand Championship, we're talking about new rules, we're talking about a new style. What do you think of this whole new MMA-ish way of having a wrestling match? And how do you think it fits into the current TNA product?
Well, I understand they want to make... I mean, I'm assuming we're going to call this the mid-card title. I'm assuming they want to kind of separate it from the X division, and they want to separate it from the heavyweight, so they have to make it stand out somehow. The only thing is, I just don't know if this is going to work long term. It's just the whole pausing between the match. I mean, maybe the fans will take to it after a while. For me right now, it has not grown on me. Maybe it will down the road. But my first impressions are I just didn't really care for it too much. Maybe that will change over time. But as far as right now, I'm just not a fan of it. I don't know. I'm just not really into mixing a lot of MMA with wrestling, and that's probably why I just don't really care for it. But I'm willing to give it a chance, though.
One thing I do want to give props and credit to is like TNA is an alternative again. It's an alternative product to the WWE, and that's what TNA used to be. That's what they're getting flack for. This is another reason why they are an alternative product, and they continue to be in. Props to it. I am someone who has actually felt that basically, I mean, I love MMA to death. When MMA first started getting big, I hated it because I felt like this is really going to put a damper in the success and popularity of professional wrestling, and I still feel I was accurate. I think that something like this needed to happen, and TNA did something. This was something I actually wrote in one of my columns, like the choke out. The WWE and not just WWE, but like every wrestling company, someone gets they used to say it's not a choke, but I mean, it only makes sense as a choke. But the arm would drop 3 times. No, MMA proves that happens. Someone's going to die. TNA does that now, and I love that. Those are kind of things that I feel needed to be implemented. Like the way that you take a hit, like look at MMA, and that makes you sell a lot better. And I think that it's something that needs to be done. However, I don't know about this by any stretch of the imagination. Look, a pro wrestling match is different in the fact that like it has a flow to it. In order for it to be good, we're going 3 minutes, not 5, like in MMA. That gives them even less time, and the flow is getting interrupted. And so, I mean, that's going to happen. They're giving like the judge's decision or the judge's scorecards results away, not at the end like in MMA. I feel like this thing isn't going to work. I don't know that it's going to stay that way long term or not. I think, Drew Galloway kind of works. Drew Galloway, man, like this guy, he's just fantastic. I think he is by far the best active wrestler. He never has a bad match. The guy's on fire, and that was a good way to start it. By the way, Drew Galloway, look what happens when he's a heel. Guy cuts great promos. But there's some charisma to the guy. But, and it was good for Braxton Sutter. Like, get this guy in this kind of division. Keep him out of the X division. But it just, I'll remain open-minded, but I'm not really enjoying what they're doing with it yet. But we'll see how it goes. But it is at least an alternative, and that's something to be proud of. And give them props for trying something.
This is a stupid idea. There, I've said it. Now, I've said it, so I better back it up, and I better say why I think it's a stupid idea. Stupid idea for a couple reasons. First of all, Hurls, you hit the nail on the head. This is not the World Heavyweight Championship, which is the most important championship, and they also want to separate it from the X Division Championship, which is a secondary championship, but it's also a different style. So what they need to have a way to elevate mid-card talent. And you can't just have everybody in the co-main event picture, which I will admit, TNA is doing a fabulous job with their co-main event picture right now. And I will go on record as saying it's probably the best that I can remember any company doing really any given point in time. So incredible props to what Creative is doing right now. But this Grand Championship, it just doesn't fit. And that's why I look at it as a stupid idea. And I know stupid's a pretty strong word, but I want you to think about it for a second. How are you going to elevate somebody into a world championship level athlete from that particular division when the style is so different? Well, now in the other divisions, you have to wrestle constantly, and it's not pointed. And it's so different than what they're doing that it just kind of becomes a nuisance. In addition, and we're going to talk about this later, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but they're also doing other odd things like Delete Or Decay, which is also completely different than the regular product. The difference in my mind is that Delete Or Decay is more of a draw, and it's not something that they're doing week in and week out. This week we had 2 TNA Grand Championship matches. I could not agree with Raven Effect more on Drew Galloway. The guy is, and I hate to say this because the bar is set so high, but he really is the next coming of Kurt Angle. You guys have heard me liken him to Kurt Angle many times before on the show, and I'm just going to have to keep doing it because every single match is awesome. But let's face it, it's like, I can fast forward through this because I know that we're going to go through at least a round or so, right? I don't have to watch it. and then you don't feel like you're a part of it. If they wanted to do it right, and sadly only WWE could do it right, let the fans vote. Wouldn't that be a hoot? Let the fans decide who wins. They got to be live to do it, mind you, unless you want to put voting in the impact zone or something and display it. But if you want to engage the audience, engage the audience. Otherwise, I think this is just something that runs its course, which is sad for TNA because they do this with their championships, their mid-card championships constantly. They just retire it, or Eric Young pulls it out of a trash can and declares himself, champion or something. So I didn't care for it, and the Drew Galloway-Braxton Sutter match is as great as Drew Galloway is, and Raven Effect, I agree with you, anything to get Braxton out of the X Division did nothing for me. Same thing with Eli Drake versus Jesse Godderz, which admittedly could have been a filler match anyway, but I think in a regular match, I'd probably tune into that more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think, one thing, too, is, it's people aren't naive enough to realize, this is an MMA vibe, to the wrestling match, and who's gonna wrestle, who in TNA is gonna scream MMA? There's Lashley, and David Richards has MMA background, MMA style, that's it. These two are gonna feud over the belt to make it. It's just, I hope it works out for them. I really do. Maybe they drop it after this and use it as a mid-card title, but if anyone deserves an actual reward for their work and a belt, give it to Galloway.
I agree with you, and you know what I'll also throw out there? First of all, I never root against anybody, especially Impact Wrestling, right? And I want to make that clear. I'm giving my opinion based on what I think, but I'm certainly rooting for them. But I'll tell you, size is a big difference. You wouldn't see Drew Galloway versus Braxton Sutter in an MMA match, would you? So
I would hope not.
Right, exactly. So moving on from this, we went to something which also had an MMA feel, but in my opinion came off really, really well, and that was the Bound for Glory press conference. I thought that here's an opportunity to take and still build for the main event of Bound for Glory, and this, folks, is something we have not seen the last few years, and you're able to build it without even having to take time during the tapings. They did this outside of the tapings. I thought that the vibe to it was great. I thought the interactions were great. I'll be honest with you guys. When Bobby Lashley came back at TNA a couple years ago, I was like, oh, joy. Bobby Lashley's a superstar now. His delivery on the mic has been off the charts this year. The guy really has been unbelievable, and I actually thought that he shined over EC3 quite well in this engagement. But then it turned into a wrestling brawl. So you had some wrestling elements, you had some MMA elements. You showed the two guys matching up against each other. Hurls, did you agree with this or did you disagree?
This was an awesome press conference. I loved it. The intensity from both men, what they were saying, you could actually believe it. Bobby Lashley just saying that Kurt couldn't beat me, Drew couldn't beat me. He's naming all these guys who couldn't beat him. I loved it. And then the whole brawl, that was spectacular. It almost kind of reminded me of those empty arena matches that we used to get, but, with a select few fans there. But I loved it. I love these press conferences. They actually get you pumped up for the pay-per-view that's about to come. I say keep doing them as long as they can make every press conference a little different from the last one. I love it. I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's getting me more sold on EC3 versus Lashley.
Yeah, look, this was when I talked about earlier in my previous columns about implementing MMA and wrestling together. The press conference, that was absolutely something I full on said I wanted to see done in TNA. I want to backtrack to make sure that Count Incognito gets props for also saying that as well, but I love it. I love that they're doing it. I figured, okay, if pro wrestling does it, there's always going to be a brawl during the stare down and whatnot and weigh-ins, and but this was really good. These two are fantastic, and it's funny. We'll go back in history one more time because TNA Dude was such a dumbass that he was like, "Oh, Bobby Lashley sucks. He sucks at MMA." I remember seeing that on TNAasylum.net, and there was one other guy just as stupid as brother underscore here about saying how bad Lashley was and he shouldn't be going over and being champ. That was me.
Just say Lashley was that bad.
Yeah, he sucked as an MMA fighter, but yeah, that was me as well. That was me and TNA Dude both were so anti Bobby Lashley, being so over on the roster and getting such a push, and he's made us eat our words in both ways. Bobby Lashley, I was not happy with Lashley versus EC3 as a main event because we saw it last year, but this is a different Bobby Lashley. This guy is fantastic. He can talk. He's got this charisma to him. He's freaking legit. He's a monster, and man, he's just a whole new guy. He's literally the total package. I've heard people actually bash the guy's promos, but it's no, give me a break. The guy is 8 out of 10. He does well. Shut up. He's awesome. Lashley has actually came to the point that if he were to go over EC3 at Bound for Glory, it's okay. I get it. I get why they do it. It's going to be fantastic, and this is definitely the right main event for Bound for Glory. Absolutely. I'm stoked. And yeah, thank God, Bound for Glory actually means something again. And props to 2016 for actually building your pay-per-views. This is a fantastic build for Bound for Glory, in my opinion, especially after what we had to deal with the last 2 years.
I completely agree, and I'm just going to throw it out there. When I look at everything that TNA has done, particularly from the creative side, that TNA Grand Championship is the only thing that I actually don't just love. Okay, so I want you to stop and think about that. Yeah, I'm critical of it, but everything else that they're doing is freaking off the charts awesome. So, definitely high praises at those. But guys, if we talk about high praises, there is something that is getting extremely high praise. It looked like, honestly, it comes off almost like Michael Jackson's Thriller video. The creativity behind it, the acting behind it, the shooting fireworks at each other, and I'm talking Delete or Decay. Raven Effect, I only had one qualm with it. It wasn't long enough. They could have probably given it the whole show, and I'd have said the same thing. What did you think?
I think, God damn it.
You think, God damn it, all right.
I knew my dog was going to bark.
Raven
my dog
Effect,
thought Delete Decay was fantastic. My dog Rico here, he thought that Rosemary was phenomenal. But no, honestly, yeah, it wasn't long enough. It was fantastic. It definitely, I still felt I got enough time. I do. I liked this better than the original Final Deletion, I think, because this wasn't an actual wrestling match when you don't have to worry if this is a good wrestling match or not. It turned out a lot better. And look, the bottom line is Rosemary is a phenomenal actress. The girl could actually go succeed in Hollywood. I think she was not going to let us down. And Broken Matt and Jeff Hardy aren't going to let us, and neither Steve Abyss, any of that. I don't know if we're going to dissect it, but, the funniest fucking thing that I had heard was when they were in his little zoo there and he had the monkeys, the spot monkeys. And if probably everyone that's listening to this show knows what a spot monkey is, any casual fan or a normal person is like, what the hell are you talking about? But the fact that they were named the Extra Vision guys and he's saying, oh, Mandrews, the monkeys named Mandrews and Andrew Everett. It just cracked me up. I was literally rolling on the floor laughing, everyone. This was awesome.
And it was serious at the same time, too. He was being dead serious.
I think the guy literally, it's he knew that the accent, it was changing and it sucked and he got, he was getting crap for it. And I think Matt Hardy was just screw it. I'm going to make it more ridiculous and more obvious that I know what I'm doing. It's corny and cliche and it's worked in Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy in 2016 in TNA wrestling has literally gotten over. He's bigger than Jeff Hardy now. This happened in TNA, not TNA of however many years ago where they were pushing 2 million viewers. Matt Hardy is bigger than Jeff Hardy is. The guy is he's phenomenal. He's just, his character work, this whole thing that I was so down on before, I'm so positive on. And, dude, they, yeah, I don't know if a scene in there looked a little familiar, but the decay still in that guy's truck. And then they left that guy that was driving it in the street. And that's how you and I woke up the day after Steve and Rosemary saw us. But
yeah, I think I know where that was stolen from. I absolutely do.
And that song was stolen from What If God Was One of Us.
Now, I'm going to throw something out for you here, okay? Raven Effect, I know you talked about the spot monkeys, but the sparring match with the kangaroo was also off the charts, right? I mean, that was another hysterical thing, and I was definitely the most negative Matt Hardy guy that I know. I know you were very negative on him too, but I sat on this very show and said that he needed to change, get him off my TV set. And oh my God, did he change? And let's face it, I even criticized him when they went to his house the first time. I was like, a guy like that shouldn't have such a neat yard. And it's like he listens to me and just wants to make me look like an ass. Well, newsflash, Matt Hardy, I don't need your help. I can do that all by myself, okay? He turns it into Senor Benjamin, who, in my opinion, if there's anybody that's more over than Matt Hardy right now, it's probably Benjamin Senor, as what they call him on Twitter. This was just awesome stuff, and I couldn't agree with you more about my sis. You want to talk about the perfect horror movie character? She's perfect, and anytime that she's interacting with Matt Hardy, you're gonna laugh, and you're gonna be entertained in a serious way at the same time. I mean, Hurls. Am I missing something here? Do you know what I mean? I mean, they even brought Joseph Barks back in this thing.
That was the second funniest part. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Hurls. I just wanted to make sure that I got credit because I loved you in the final deletion. Hurls, it's all you.
This was brilliant. Genius. I loved every minute of it. The kangaroo scene was just awesome. When Matt Hardy is explaining the rules and Jeff Hardy is locked up with the kangaroo, and the kangaroo is looking at Matt Hardy and he's actually nodding yes. I mean, awesome. Wow. And I mean, it was just awesome. And even with the scene with the giraffe, I think he called them George Washington. I can't remember what he called him, but he said, "I knew you'd come," and then the giraffe starts eating the food out of Matt Hardy's hand. It was just great. And then the spot monkey scene. But I'd have to say my favorite scene of this was the mist, the reversal of the mist. That was awesome. And I wonder how Rosemary's doing with that. She got a little taste of her own medicine.
Oh, she likes it. Yeah.
Gosh. Only you would know.
No, I mean, if seriously, girls, we talked about it on the show before. Raven Effect and her would spit green mist at each other at the Thanksgiving dinner table. And so it always wound up going into it, and she just loves it. It just stays all over her face, and she licks it off and stuff. You know, I think that it was probably just the fact that it was dark, and she didn't expect it coming, because trust me, she's a weird chick.
Their crazy cat-killing mom would always lick the green mist off of my face. It was very odd. I mean, trust me, I was down to go, but, I mean, it was odd. Really weird.
Yeah, sounds like it, definitely.
It got, just got a lot weirder, too.
King Oscar, yes. Baby. That's how the RAV does it. Let's get weird.
Yes, very awkward, but Delete or Decay, huge success. You know they're going to try a third one somewhere down the line, and I just hope that they can keep topping themselves because it's going to get harder and harder each time. But the way Matt Hardy's been rolling aces out there, I have faith that he can keep this going for quite a while, and I'm enjoying it. The only problem was with the whole thing, it was going against the NFL's first regular season game with the Panthers and Broncos. So I wish it would have been uncontested, but that's all right because it's still getting TNA a lot of buzz. And this, who would have thought when this whole thing started, we would be where we are now, talking about how great this is. I was a Matt Hardy fan when he did the V1 gimmick in WWE. I was a big fan then. But then he kind of petered out a little bit with the whole Edge storyline and, you know, Lita cheating on him with Edge. I was kind of into that, but, you know, he didn't really do much for a while. And then he went to Ring of Honor, and I thought he had a pretty good run in Ring of Honor. And I even liked the stuff with the Full Metal Mayhem matches with Team 3D and the Wolves. I thought those were good, but then, you know, he got a little stale, but now he's just taken it to a whole new level. And I can't believe it, but I watch TNA for everything. But when Matt Hardy comes out there, I'm really engaged, and I just can't wait to see what he does next, because it seems like every week he's adding something new, and the fans are just eating it up. And Matt Hardy, he's a genius. I'm willing to say he's a genius.
Well, Hurls, I got some good news for you, because I have it on high authority, and I'm going to credit my source on this. It is our favorite podcaster / part-time Heelcaster, okay, the one and only Robbie E for champ, sweater vest wearing FK9, went out and asked Dave Lagana if we were going to get more, and Dave Lagana responded back, FK9, we are absolutely going to have a trilogy. There will be another.
You know what the best part about that was is that FK9 is like the biggest guy that brings up. I hate it when they bring out Janice. That would literally kill someone. Boom, Jeff Hardy gets hit with Janice, and it was like, there it goes. So I had to tweet FK9 as soon as I saw that. I watched it on such a delay. It was like 3 a.m. Pacific time, and the first thing I did was like, I'm fucking tweeting FK9. But I want to say this, like, okay, and so we don't spoil it. Senior Benjamin got kidnapped, y'all. Crazy Steve got him, but Matt Hardy, literally, the guy has done so good that he was a guy that literally fucking turned his brother into like a slave. He turned his brother into a slave, right? And then like he's biting people, he's threatening to eat cats, and now he's the most over face in the company. Like, how do you be a slave owning, like, cat killing, eating, biting guy, and like your brother actually comes back around on your side and you're the biggest babyface in the company? Like, that's just crazy that he's gotten this thing so friggin' over, and this has gotten so big. And like, how big is the TNA Tag Team title match at Bound for Glory? It's like the co-main event. It's gonna be big. It's friggin' huge, man. Like, I'd like to see, let's see a new match. Let's see a combination of Full Metal Mayhem and friggin' Monsters Ball. I mean, let's do this big at Bound for Glory.
And as much as I'm excited for this match at Bound for Glory, and to be honest with you, I'm really hoping that they kept this Delete Or Decay segment short so they could give us a longer one at Bound for Glory, okay, and really give the fans something to look forward to. As much as I'm looking forward to that particular match, I got a newsflash for you. I'm going to be really upset. Billy Corgan, Dave Lagana, John Gaburek, Dixie Carter, you're listening. TNA Dude is going to be very, very upset if Matt Hardy, wait for it, doesn't get a world championship run with this character. I'm sorry. I know the last thing, and it wasn't that long ago when I was like, get this guy off my TV set. I'm tired of him with a belt. This broken Matt Hardy character needs to be the world champion. He just does.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you're that over, you have to. I mean, Jeff is in the shadow right now, and who would have thought that? Everyone always said Matt was in Jeff's shadow, but it's quite the opposite now, and it's crazy how things have turned around in that short a period. But Matt Hardy winning the title would be great with this character and the feuds he could have.
Just imagine if, the ref gets knocked out in the title match and Matt's in trouble, and all of a sudden here comes Vanguard 1 out the back, right? And he shoots some sort of like a laser at Bobby Lashley or EC3 or somebody and knocks him out. I mean, just imagines how they could do some of the silliness even in the ring. Yeah, you know what I mean? They can go so far with this guy. I just really want to hear him say, TNA World Heavyweight Championship, I knew you'd come.
How crazy is it? How crazy is it? It's 2016. The WWE can't get Roman Reigns over, but Matt Hardy got a drone and his Gardner over. Like, that's insane.
His Gardner is awesome too, man.
Senior Benjamin is a made man. He is fucking made forever. He got a goddamn dilapidated boat, which made its return, is over his shit. A drone and a dilapidated. I don't even know what a dilapidated boat actually is. I just know I like it.
Exactly, it's a rowboat, and they used it again in the match. I mean, you can't make this shit up, guys, and it is just freaking awesome. And I know we all want to give Matt Hardy all the credit, and it seems like it's him, but whoever is behind this, whatever team of people is behind this, let's give them all their props, because this stuff is just too freaking cool. The only part that disappointed me, and I tweeted it out to her, and she must have ignored my tweet, but my sis really did disappoint me by not getting Maxwell at the end. Right? I mean, she should have had that baby. She had it and she lost it. That was disappointing to me. Rosemary, shame on you.
What wasn't disappointing though was the obsolete music that they had at the start. What was it, orchestra or opera or something? It just
Senor Benjamin's got the best voice.
Was that him singing it?
In the very beginning, if you listen to the KOTM's opening podcast, the opening of their podcast is Senor Benjamin singer, supposed to be him. Yeah, he's got a hell of a voice on him. The gardener.
Of course. We should have known. I mean, your guy can do anything. He's Senor fucking Benjamin, for crying out loud.
Of
course, he's got the voice of an angel.
Can we get some Skarsgård t-shirts too? I mean, literally. We want t-shirts of Vanguard 1, Skarsgård, King Maxwell, you name it. And I also want a DVD.
Dilapidated boat. I want the dilapidated boat.
Yes. Well, that's what Skarsgård is. He named him.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. That is Skarsgård. And
Hurls got us unlocked.
So I want merchandise, and I also, when they have all of these final deletes done, I want a DVD of all of them. I hope TNA realizes that they would make a ton of money off of them, because I want that in my collection.
Well, right now they've got probably about 20 minutes worth of content, so they got a ways to go before they're going to be able to do that. But yeah, I think it could definitely be something that's very, very, very cool. I mean, everything about the production is just, is just awesome. And the one thing I will say that came off as bizarre in this thing, and I kind of get why they did it and why they had to do it, but then you kind of get the impression that the whole pool part scenes were filmed during the day and they tried to just make it look like it was at night. You could see all this, the light shining in the pool like it was daytime. And they came out of the pool and it was dark. It really looked like that was done during the day. And I get why, but it kind of just, I don't know, looked kind of weird.
I saved it on my DVR. I'll have to go back and take a look.
Yeah, same here. I didn't really notice that, but I'll have to take another glance at it.
If anybody listening knows different, has talked to anybody or whatnot, shoot us a tweet or a PM or whatnot and let us know. But it did seem kind of weird that when they were under the water, it was really bright going down in, and it was bright all the way over top, not like the lights were shining in from angles. And I don't know how you would film that at night anyway. Like, I don't know how you'd have enough light to film under the water and be able to make anything out. So it kind of makes sense why they do that.
Must have been a way for them to, maybe you could see it more clear.
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
That's what I'm thinking, and they tried to kind of hide it. But I mean, again, when you start talking about stuff like that, you're really kind of picking the straws. You're really just saying that if that's the worst thing that I could find, I just watched greatness. And I really did feel like we just watched greatness. Everybody said this one was better than the first, and I think it was, because it wasn't even about a match. Right, the other one's like, well, somebody has to get pinned, and it's going to be kind of funny. There's going to be a ref in a ring. This one was just like a home invasion. It's actually kind of cool if you think about it. It was a home invasion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was, what I didn't like about Final Deletion was it's like, okay, I the concept and everything that they're doing, I get why it works, and it's awesome and it's bringing in new viewers, but I mean, I'm here to watch a wrestling match, and this is not this is something, you can see in like a, cheesy wrestling movie or something like that, but it was awesome, man. Like, I loved it. Loved watching it.
I also want to comment on one thing. I did read a report that the Hardy Boys are writing this for the most part. I think they have like mostly creative control over their storylines. So while the production might be a different aspect, that could be RLX marketing, I'm not really sure. I know Jeremy Borash had a hand in that, but they all deserve well-rounded props there.
Everybody involved, and I don't want to leave anybody out, right? I don't want to leave out the folks from the Decay, Steve, Rosemary, and Abyss. I don't want to leave out anybody from the production team, right down to the key grips. Everybody that did this is stepping out of their element, because this is not professional wrestling. But this is really good professional wrestling. And, we talk about things, and we've talked a lot in the past about what type of thing could help TNA actually move the needle. And we talk about, well, is this signing going to do it? Is Cody Rhodes a needle mover? No, it's not. But things like Delete Decay, they're outside the box, and that really hit into a pop culture type of thing. I mean, these kind of shows are in right now. It is really the kind of thing that can be a needle mover. So props off to every single talent, production crew, right down to whoever's, mopping up afterwards. Senor Benjamin, you're awesome.
Yeah, the thing is, Senior Benjamin will never be able to hear this because he's kidnapped and God knows what happened to him. Remember what happened to us? Like, Senior Benjamin's pretty screwed.
Yeah.
Well, Matt Hardy was looking at the home base of Meek Man, so I don't know if he found him there, but I hope Senior Benjamin, wherever you are, you're doing all right, buddy. Prayers and thoughts are with you.
That's right.
I don't. I'm Team Decay.
I've been there and I've done that. I'm on Team Decay, but the thing is that I'm really kind of feeling like if maybe I suck up the Rosemary a little bit more, I can get Senor Benjamin to come over and cut my grass for me. It dude does an awesome job. So, sis, if you're out there, if maybe you could, pull him up in the pickup truck and drop him off and let him cut the grass for me this weekend, it'd be awesome.
Well,
Please take me back, Rosemary.
So, all right, look, folks. That's all we got for this week. This was a great show. I don't think there's any denying it. We are all absolutely stoked for Delete Decay. We're stoked with just about everything else that TNA is doing. But the big sound-off question that we have for this week is about that Grand Championship. We want to know what you think about the Grand Championship. What do you think about the new rules, the new style, and how long do you think it's going to last? Is this something TNA is going to be doing a year from now? Or is this just a fad, and maybe they'll try something different? So let us know in the sound-off question, in the comment sections below, YouTube, tnasylum.net, Twitter, as always. Folks, thank you so much for listening. On behalf of all of the Heelcast, especially that guy, Hurls.
Yep, that's me.
And the other guy, what's his name?
Never heard of that asshole anyways.
That's right, the broken guy. I'm TNA Dude saying, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.